Good evening, everyone. You know that music reminds me of some of the best funerals I've ever attended. You are listening to the Haunted Chronicles on the Paramania Radio Network. Good evening. My name is Terry Todd. I, along with my wonderful host, Mr. Jimmy Haunted, will be bringing you a show tonight regarding urban legends, or as Jimmy and I like to call it, disambiguation. Did you know there's a word for urban legends, Jimmy?
Now I do.
Disambiguation. That is the word meaning urban legend.
All right, I'll call it urban legends. You can call it that one.
Disambiguation. Gotcha.
Disambiguation.
You said it. Disambiguation. Yeah.
All right, urban legend.
How was your week?
Howdy, partner.
Howdy. How was your week?
It was cold again. It was
Really?
cold again. We're getting warmer now. It was 4 degrees like every day I woke up, and I keep thinking about summer vacation.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of rain, and the rain seems to be warming it up down here too. So we're getting some warmer weather too. So maybe it's getting that way everywhere, and everybody's a little bit happier.
Yeah,
everybody's been so miserable over the winter. Pardon me?
Nothing. Everybody will be much happier when it's warm out.
Yeah, it's getting there. So what do we have on tap for tonight?
Well, if anybody remembers, we debuted our show on Friday the 13th in December, so we had no expectations whatsoever, and we got to our 13th episode. So I tried to make creepy as possible. So the subject I picked was urban legends, and then I just did another, I did a book report on Lizzie Borden. I did another book report on urban legends. I got a bunch of good ones.
Cool. Just about every small town in this country has its own urban legend in one way or another. And I told you, a few days ago, I grew up in Plainview, Texas. And in Plainview, Texas, we had the Goat Man out the elevators, So I think just about every town has its own little, legend that's passed on from generation to generation. So,
but we're going to hear about that Goat Man. We're going to hear about it soon. Let's do our everyone's favorite feature.
Absolutely. Let's give it a shot.
It's another week. It's another week.
And I have had
what?
Go ahead. I've had several people tell me, "Oh, don't you?" Jimmy tells you ahead of time. I know nothing. When you tell me the names, that's the first I hear of it. So when I guess, it's truly a guess.
Most of the time, we don't talk all week long, so it's a surprise to you what's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, and for some reason, I'm very, very good at it. I seem to hit it real close each time, but I have no previous knowledge of it. I don't hear about it till Jimmy tells me. So,
all right, Terry, and you always come very close. So let's see how you do this week. Okay. All right, this is our version of Scary Movie Celebrity Birthdays, a Haunted Chronicles exclusive. And these are all birthdays this upcoming week.
Upcoming week, okay.
What?
You blinked out on me there for a second.
All right. Thora Birch, who was in Ghost World, Hocus Pocus, and American Beauty, which I just watched, even though that wasn't scary. It could be scary to some people. How old is she this week?
That was a great movie, American Beauty, by the way. I'm going to say 29.
Very good. She's going to be 32. So
she's
31 right now. You're right off. Just off.
Yeah. How about how old she was? Go ahead.
Linda Fiorentino, who was in Charlie's Ghost Story and Men in Black, if you remember her.
Okay, I've heard the name, and I've seen Men in Black, so I think I know who it is. 35.
56.
You're kidding.
Yeah, well, she isn't that popular, so I could,
Well, maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. Okay, anyway.
Hey,
I missed that one. See, that should tell you I have no foreknowledge if I miss one that far.
Right. There's no trickery going on.
Absolutely not. Jimmy and I have never even spoken on the phone before.
And here's one. And I'm saying hi to everybody that's coming into the chat room. Thanks for coming, everybody, and we'll give you a shout-outs after break.
Absolutely.
This is definitely one you know. Sharon Stone, who was in Basic Instinct, Scissors, Sliver, and Cold Creek Manor?
Yes. She is very close to my age, so I'm going to say maybe 55.
Well, you know what?
What?
Right now, she is 55, and she's turning 56 this week.
Oh,
so you're dead
wow, okay.
on, dead on. And her
So she's a couple
last
years
one,
older than me.
Is Dee Snider, we all know from Twisted Sister, and he also wrote and starred in Strangeland, which is a really creepy movie. If you watch that, I saw that a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
How old do you think he is this week?
Okay, I'm going to say Dee Snider is probably 60 years old.
Very good. Dee Snider will be turning 59 this week.
Cool.
And for our special 13th episode, I have a special extra bonus birthday that has nothing to do with the paranormal, but someone we all know and like, I think.
Okay.
Howard Stern producer Gary Delabate, also known as Baba Booey, has a birthday next week.
Okay. I am familiar with him. I'm going to say 45.
Gary Baba Booey will be 53 this week.
Gosh.
And that does it for scary movie celebrity birthdays.
Well, it scared the hell out of me.
Very scary. I think it's the end of that feature. Dave said he had to step away for a minute. I think he went to vomit.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, this feature this week, Urban Legends, and an urban legend, or as you called it, what was the word?
I got to look, disambiguation.
Yep. Urban legend, myth, or tale is a form of modern folklore that may or may not have been believed by their tellers as true. Urban legends are sometimes repeated in news stories and in recent years, like by email or even on Facebook or the internet, and people frequently allege that such tales happened to a friend of a friend. So often, in fact, that the friend of a friend thing has become a commonly used term when recounting this type of story. And before starting with the big urban legends, because we've got to fill 2 hours here, I wanted to. I have some urban myths or like old wives' tale type things as appetizers. And these are like little appetizers for the big ones. So I want you to answer in chat room, play along. I wanted like a true or false for a bunch of these statements I have. These are like little urban myths that happened, like you might have heard about when you were a kid or something like that. Okay, so it's true or false.
Okay.
If you swallow gum, it can take up to 7 years to fully digest.
Now, are you asking me if that's true or false?
Yes.
I have heard that my whole life. I've heard people say that it doesn't dissolve; it just stays there. I'm going to say that's probably false. I think it would pass on through your body just like everything else.
Yes, that is true. It goes right through your body.
Okay.
How about this one? Everybody remembers this. That's our age. Remember little Mikey from the Life cereal commercials? And
yes.
They claimed he died of eating Pop Rocks and soda.
Yes.
Did that really happen?
No, that's false.
That is false. Very good. You're 2 for 2.
No one has ever died from Pop Rocks and Pop.
That we know about. Nope. How about this one? Right-handed people live longer than left-handed people.
I've never heard that. I would say that also is false.
That one is true.
Oh, really?
Research shows that right-handed people live longer.
Right-handed people live longer.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's weird. How about, remember this one? This is I think my grandmother used to tell me this one. Jimmy, if you swallow a watermelon seed, one's going to grow in your stomach.
Oh, yes, I've heard that too. That's obviously false.
Although it may look like there's a watermelon in my stomach, I don't believe it's actual watermelon.
I must have swallowed a whole package of watermelon seed. No.
That is false.
Okay.
Do you remember this one from when you were a kid? Remember the story about Gene Simmons from the band Kiss? Had an actual cow's tongue sewed onto his own tongue to have that big elongated tongue.
Yes, I remember hearing about that too. That's false, obviously.
Obviously, but I believed it when I was a kid. I was like, "Wow, that guy's crazy."
Yeah, that's what it is. A lot of this stuff we did believe when we were kids. I think that's why it's perpetuated through the generations. So
that's creepy.
Of course, kids today don't know who Gene Simmons is, but
no, they don't. We do Justin Bieber next week.
Oh God, I don't want to hear what that boy had sewed on.
Neither. Wow. We just lost half the chat.
Oh, gracious me!
I'm gonna make a picture for you later. How about Disney employees are banned from wearing facial hair? Is that true or false?
That's probably true.
That is true. Remember, I got all these from researching multiple websites on the internet, and it's not saying all of them are true either, but this is what I came to the conclusion after researching all these.
Yeah, I would certainly think, Disney tries to keep such a family-oriented, positive thing. I would imagine that's true.
How about this one from Rick in the chat room? Jared, what is it, Leto or Leto, won the Best Supporting Actor this year and was the star of the 1998 motion picture Urban Legend.
Wow,
that's a nice connection.
I've heard a lot of people talking. Honestly, I don't know who Jared Leto is. I did not watch the Oscars this year, and I don't know who he is. I've heard other people say the same thing, but maybe I'm behind on my pop culture or something.
Well, actually, I think he was more famous for being in a band that my kids really like, and he's also an actor. So he's a double threat. He's a double threat like you. You're on Voices Carry and the Haunted Chronicles.
Yeah. Do you know what band he was with?
Something about Mars. Something. Anybody in the chat room help out with that? I know we're a few
30 Seconds to Mars?
That might be it.
There's a song called 30 Seconds to Mars.
I think it's something to do with Mars.
That's probably it.
We'll get back to that. 30 Seconds to Mars sounds familiar.
No, 30 Seconds to Mars is the band. The song is called Closer to the Edge.
That could be
and I love that song, by the way. It's called Closer to the Edge by 30 Seconds to Mars. I did not know he was in a band, though. That's cool.
Yeah. And I could be totally wrong. I might be just making this up. I think that's the story. I just started a new urban legend that he's in a band and an actor.
Absolutely.
I heard it here first.
Yes. As well as whatever Bieber had sewed on. We've already started 2 urban legends ourselves.
It's 15 minutes. We rule.
Yeah. We are ruling in disambiguation.
Mr. Rogers. You know where I'm going here?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah. Mr. Rogers was a Navy SEAL with 42 confirmed kills. And he wore his long sleeves. Yep. And he wore long sleeves to conceal his tattoos.
I see. Okay, no, that one I've never heard before. I had heard one about Mr. Rogers, but it was not that one. The one I heard was much darker, that he was like a pedophile or something.
I heard that one too. I think he's all right guy. Frankie C. verified that it's 30 Seconds to Mars, Terry, the band.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And
thanks, Frank.
And that was totally false. Mr. Rogers was never a Navy SEAL, never served in any armed forces, and that was one of those internet hoaxes that started somehow.
And he was not a pedophile.
As far as we know, no. He's just a weird guy.
No comment.
I don't know how the Mr. Rogers got onto the Haunted Chronicles. I hope he appreciates it wherever he is. And
did he die?
How about this
Is Mr. Rogers dead? Is Mr. Rogers dead? Okay.
I'm not sure.
Somebody will tell us, I'm sure, but my wife was a big fan of his when she was a child. I was a Captain Kangaroo kid, so I didn't watch that much Mr. Rogers.
Lydia wrote, "I'm glad he's not my neighbor."
Won't you be my neighbor?
And how about... Oh, Fred Rogers died February 27th, 2003. Thank you, Dr. Dave.
Yes, Dr. Dave's always right on the money.
And how about this golden oldie? If you go swimming less than an hour after eating, you could get cramps and drown.
Okay, that I was not a swimmer as a child, so I'm not sure. I'm going to say yes, that is a possibility.
And it's a funny story. This is a Haunted Chronicles exclusive for the archives. When I went to camp, I wasn't very buoyant, apparently, and when they had swimming at camp, they like categorized you into polywog, minnow, shark, or whatever according to your skill level, and I was a polywog.
Oh, how cute!
That was very cute. And that is false. You can go swimming right after eating.
Oh, okay. That's good to know in case I ever go swimming.
But don't hold Paramania or Haunted Chronicles responsible for your swimming after eating.
We should have done that first and did a disclaimer that anything said on this show is not to be taken seriously.
Because right now everyone just jumped into their pools and we ruined everything.
And well, they ate first real quick and then they went and jumped in the pool.
Yeah, right. This one is most of these are true or false. This one is a gray area, and I'll tell you why. But you tell me what you think of this. Okay. When you're driving, and someone doesn't have their headlights on at night, and you give them the flash, trying to be nice and tell them that their lights aren't on, that by doing this, you could be killed or shot or attacked just by trying to alert them while they're driving. Did you ever hear of anything like that?
Killed by who?
The person driving.
Oh. No, I've not heard anything like that. I haven't heard anything like that.
On the internet, they claim this is false. But where I live and some of the people in the chat room and listening live in the New Haven, Connecticut area, we had a gang in New Haven that was actually, I think it was in the 90s. One of the initiations for their gang was if they were warning people not to flash their lights at people that were driving without their lights because they were shooting people. Anybody, like you were being nice and flashing your lights, they'd shoot into your car.
Wow. As you begin saying that, Dr. Dave put up and said gang thing allegedly. So yeah, apparently other people know about it.
And it actually did happen right in our neighborhood here.
Wow. I did not know that.
That's scary.
Indeed.
Yep. And let's see. Now
that is not a disambiguation then. That's true.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have turned into it might have started out as an urban legend and then turned into they used it, Yeah. And we're getting a little meatier now, guys. I know you guys want the scary stuff. We're getting into it. These are appetizers, I said. It's like a little sorbet before the dinner.
Okay.
How about this one? I think you might have heard of this one. The dead used to be buried with a string hanging into their coffin that was attached to a bell on the ground level so they could pull and ring the bell if they were buried alive by accident.
That's true. In the 18th century, in the 18th and 19th century, there was a lot of people in this country buried that were still alive, yeah.
That was absolutely true. And I've seen pictures of it on the internet. It looks so creepy, and I want one for my house. And
there are several true stories where people, for whatever reason, would dig up relatives, and they were inside of the coffins was clawed, and where they tried to get out. So yeah, there's several cases where that's been proven true. Can you imagine that's got to be the worst possible way you can think of to die?
Yeah.
If you think about that has got to be the worst. It doesn't matter if you're claustrophobic or not or what else is going on. That has got to be the worst possible way that a human being can die.
And Rick actually wrote in the chat room it happened to a friend of his. Rick, our guest on the first Voices Carry that I was on.
That he was buried alive?
No. Oh, shoot. I'm on the wrong story. I don't think that Rick had a friend that rang the bell. I think he had a friend that was in the headlight incident, the headlight flashing incident.
Oh, okay. We kind of got our stories mixed up there. Well, Rick, if your friend was hurt, I'm sorry that he was hurt in that, because that's stupid.
We got a little delay here, and it's causing havoc.
Whew, I'm glad he didn't have a friend buried alive, though.
I hope that's not the story. And then they said actually there was like one guy did a study, and there was at least 220 deaths during the early 1900s that were found to be premature because, and then they came up with this method with the bell. So like imagine being at the cemetery and hearing the bell ring.
Yeah.
And like your wife is like ringing the bell and like, oh shoot, Wanda's gonna kill me when she gets out of there, you know?
Yeah. It's all I can say is it's a really good thing they didn't have paranormal investigators back in those days, because they would be running through the cemetery going, "What the hell's that? A bell?" You know.
Yeah, and actually, that's gonna also blend into one day we're gonna do haunted cemeteries, and there's a lot of those haunted cemetery stories that that started with the buried alive, you know.
Yeah.
Origins. You can hear me, okay, right?
You talking to me? Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, I think we got. Oh, geez, we're talking about the bell ringer thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dave wrote, talking about dead ringers. I wonder if that's how they got the expression, though.
I don't know. Could be, I guess.
I don't know. We have break in about 5 minutes. I could do one more, or you could do your goat story if you want. It's up to you.
Let's go ahead and do one more, and then we'll get into the disambiguation after the break. How's that?
Okay, sure. All right.
Tease the audience a little bit.
Yeah. All right. This one usually starts with a man meeting an attractive woman at a bar. They have a drink, and the next thing he remembers is waking up in a tub full of ice with a note to call 911. The story goes he was a victim of an organ thieves who cut out his kidney and are going to sell it on the black market. Is that did that actually ever happen or not? I've
heard that story an awful lot, and it is just weird and strange enough that it probably did happen at some point. So I'm going to say that it's true. Exactly, that's what I would think. And according to every website and Snopes and all of those, this never happened. There's no basis in truth. There's no basis for the story. But it's definitely one of those ones that are that believable. I say, yeah, I could picture that happening, you know? Yeah, it's just weird enough that you go, well, you know, that's a possibility, so. You know, there are socks. There's so many of these that we heard growing up. You know, like, I'm sure you've heard about the hook hanging on the side of the door on the car. That's coming up next. You're psychic. Yeah, and the girl with bugs in her hair and things of that nature, spiders in her hair. So, you know, there's just an awful lot of these things that floating around out there, and it's going to be really interesting to see what the people in the chat room and you know, if anybody would like to call in with a story, that'd be fine, wouldn't it, if they called in? It would be after I get to maybe the first hour, because I don't want them to. Okay. Don't want to clog it up. Gotcha. No, all these pages in the order, and I'll go crazy. Okay, so we'll do that, but it's going to be real interesting to see what people in the chat room come up with, and then later on with the calls, because I know that a lot of these are regional, some of them, and then some of them are like totally nationwide, and it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I like the local ones that we never heard about. You know, maybe we'll get a few of those. That'd be great. Yeah, and I'm sure that there, like I said, there's some regional ones. There's got to be. So I'm going to do one more. We got 2 minutes till break, and I'll do this last one because you just mentioned it. Okay. And it's called The Hook. A couple parked hears a radio announcement saying a killer with a hook for a hand is on the loose in the area. The girl gets scared, and the
boy reluctantly takes her back home. As soon as she exits the car, she starts screaming, and the guy runs around the car to the passenger side and finds a bloody hook dangling from the door handle.
Mm-hmm.
True or false?
Oh, that's got to be false.
Yeah, that's one of those ones. I don't believe that. I don't want that one.
Lydia just put up something in the chat room talking about am I dead? And I posted something on my wall on Facebook earlier. I'm going to read a little bit for a minute and see what you think. It says, and this is for you, Lydia, because I saw it in the chat room and it reminded me, when you are dead, you don't know that you are dead, and it is difficult only for the others. It is the same when you're stupid.
Yep. I admit I'm stupid.
So when I saw that Lydia was talking about that, it just reminded me, and I had to read that real quick and share it with everybody.
That's a nice quote right now. That's a nice quote.
Right. Doesn't have a lot to do with disambiguation, but I still thought it was kind of cool to throw it in there. So,
all right, that's about that about takes us up till a break time.
Yeah, we're getting close, so we're just kind of. Urban legends are something that is one of those things that I think it just keeps people going. You know, they carry on from generation to generation, and it's just kind of interesting the phonetics of how it all works and puts together and everything. And I guess we'll go ahead and go to break right now, if that's okay. You ready for a break, Jim?
I'm ready.
All righty, here we go. This is Jimmy Haunted and Terry Todd on the Haunted Chronicles this evening. We're discussing disambiguation, and we will be back right after the break. Stay tuned. We'll be back. And we are back with the Haunted Chronicles. Good evening. We hope you guys are doing great out there and listening to us this evening. Our show tonight is about disambiguation, or as most people call it, urban legends. And I know that Jimmy has put a lot of time and effort into researching and studying out about these urban legends, and he's going to talk to us some more about that right now. Isn't that right, Jim?
Sure is. Darn tootin'.
Ain't that right, partner? Oh, damn.
Yeah. I'll be Southern yet. And I got a lot of. Go ahead, please.
I kind of got a double whammy. I got a half Texas and half Alabama accent. So,
what kind of accent do I have?
To me, you sound just like those guys on The Sopranos. To me, almost like a New York type thing.
All right, good.
Good. Okay.
Here's our opportunity.
When you're trying to intimidate someone.
I think we got a lot of people that don't know we're on at 7, but because our normal start time is 8. But I'm going to give the shout outs to people in the chat room right now. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dave, Frankie C, Jesus, Lydia, Tanya, Tabitha, Carol, Maggie, Tom, Kara E, Heidi G, Desiree, Rick, Katie H, Dead Dude Chad, and there's Jared and Colton. And happy birthday to Linda and Jameson, also known as Chubby. And Victor, Linda, and Stacy's listening on TuneIn, Austin, and Frankie B. Any shout-outs for you, Terry? Go ahead.
Well, you missed me there.
And Miss Terry, while you're there. And
I'm
Anna
in the
Jo.
chat room, too. Yeah.
And Jenny Stewart.
Yes, Miss Jenny's always is always there. She's a wonderful person. I love Miss Jenny. No, I really don't have anybody to holler out at. I would like to tell the folks that are in our chat room that knows that we came on an hour early tonight, call your friends and let them know. You know, if you know someone that normally listens, let them know that we came on early tonight and that we're going to be we'll end at the regular time, but we're running 2 hours tonight instead of 1. So just call your friends and let them know that we're already on, and let folks know that.
Yeah, we're on early. They're still going to get a lot of stuff later too, and you can always listen to on demand.
Absolutely.
For anybody that doesn't know, all our shows for all the shows on Paramania are on demand anytime you want, and you go back and listen to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Both shows. since you mentioned it earlier, I feel safe doing it. My other show is Voices Carry and Haunted Chronicles. We both have archive shows here at Paramania, so you can listen to any of our past shows anytime you'd like.
Yeah,
that's a shameless plug for my other show. So.
Yeah, no, you had a great show Wednesday night with John Zaffis and Ralph Sarchi.
Yes, Ralph Sarchi's a great guy, and in fact, he was on Haunted Chronicles first, and it just seemed like an hour wasn't enough. So I invited him on Voices Carry, and had a wonderful show with him over there last Wednesday night. And he's got he's written that book called Beware of the Night, and that's being made into a movie that's coming out on July 2nd called Deliver Us from Evil. So good movie coming out on July 2nd. It was written by our friend Ralph Sarchi. So mark that on your calendar or something. Get ready for it.
And I know Ralph's the type of guy that'll still be our friend after he makes it big in Hollywood. Just like our friend Bill Hall from The Most Haunted House in History, the book coming out soon.
Yeah, we got a lot of folks with books coming out.
Yeah. All right. Now, let's see. I got a few more. You ready for another one, or do you want to do one of your own?
No, go ahead. We'll see what we got, and then we'll go over.
Okay, see if you ever heard of this one. This one's called Aren't You Glad You Didn't Turn on the Lights? Two college freshmen are roommates. One stays home while the other goes to a party. The girl who went to the party comes home to a dark dorm room. Not wanting to waken what she thinks is her sleeping roommate, she doesn't turn on the lights and sneaks into her bedroom to go to sleep. When she wakes up in the morning, she finds "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" written in blood on the living room wall. True or false?
I'm going to say that's false because I've heard it too many times.
That is false.
Okay, I would have thought as much.
And I have a question in the chat room from Heidi.
Okay.
Why do they put haunted things in glass like a cabinet? My answer for myself is because it looks damn creepy. And like I said, I grew up with the Warrens, and I fashioned my basement after theirs. And John Zaffis does something similar. So when I don't think it contains the energy or anything, but I just think putting it in a little plastic case makes it look more presentable and creepy.
Well, John explained that. John explained it to me why he does it. And he said that everything he puts under glass like that, first thing he does is he salts it, which keeps it kind of sealed, and the glass is supposed to be just added protection. Is what it is. It's not really for show. The glass does add protection. And it has something to do, and I'm not an expert on this, so I can't speak, knowledgeable about it. But it does have something to do with the mirror effect of glass, that it reflects back on itself. And you know all about mirrors and stuff, right?
Yeah, we'll be talking about that later.
Yeah, and so the glass kind of has a mirror effect to it, and that's what. But it is a part of keeping the spirits contained within that area.
Well, I'm glad I followed in their tradition because all my stuff's in glass.
That's great, because that's what John told me, and that's all I know about it. So I've never saved any haunted items or anything, so I don't. But that's what he said.
How about another one? How about the hitchhiker? And this one also is started a bunch of graveyard haunted cemetery tales, the same story that I'm going to tell you now. A man picks up a hitchhiker on a deserted road. A woman gets in. He asks her address, and upon arriving at the destination, he notices she isn't there anymore. And of course, he goes to the front door and rings the bell. And of course, the parents tell him that that was their only daughter, and explains that she was killed in a car accident in the same spot where he had picked her up. Mm-hmm. True or false?
Okay, this is one of those things that there's probably a lot of different variations to and stuff. I do know of one particular instant where supposedly that really did happen, so I'm going to say that that's true.
They say it's false, but I know that's supposedly one of the most haunted cemeteries in the country is I don't know what the name of it is. They call it Resurrection Mary in like Chicago or something.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about. They have a few instances where people swear to God that it happened there. So so I'm assuming that might very well be true.
Yeah. So who knows? Most of these are who knows type things. But like I said, we're going to revisit this story too on a future episode that I just invented called Haunted Cemeteries, and that's we have no date for that yet, but it's coming. That's going to be a hoot also.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it'll work out great.
And I'm going to do I got a couple more. Okay, this one is called Halloween Hanging. Another urban legend usually starts out at a haunted attraction, like such as a hayride or a haunted house type of event. And one of the performers usually puts a noose around their neck just to scare the other people that walk by. And let's see. And would you say that's true or false? That somebody actually died from, being a prop in the haunted house or a haunted attraction?
I have not heard that, but I'm going to say that's probably false.
This one is true. The legend seems to be true, either by accident or purposely. We'll never know. But a Chicago Tribune article from 1990 says a 17-year-old boy was found hanging at the end of an event after hours of people passed by him at a haunted hayride. And similar incidents have happened in North Carolina and Kentucky. So, it might have been, they did it purposely and then became part of the show, or by accident. But they're supposedly that story is true. When am I going to hear about the Goat Man?
You want me to tell you about the Goat Man now?
Yeah.
All right. I grew up, as I said earlier, in Plainview, Texas, and back home in Texas, we had what are grain elevators. I don't know if you have those up where you live, or you know what they are or not, but they're great big tall silos that are several hundred feet tall. They're made out of concrete, and they usually stand 7 or 8 in a row, and they're very tall, very big structures, and they're rounded, of course, like a normal silo, and they fill these things up with grain and so on. And we had one of those just out at the edge of town, one of these grain elevators. And supposedly it was a place, it was kind of a make-out place where you took your girl and stuff, and it kind of to scare her, this sort of thing. And supposedly there was a goat man, half man, half goat, that lived somewhere around this grain elevator. And if you were out there at night, you would hear him. And, some people said they had seen him and so on. And supposedly he was like a man with, hairy things. That his legs looked like a goat, and he had hooves and horns, but it was basically in a humanoid shape. And I have no knowledge of the Goat Man one way or the other than the fact that some friends and I were out there one night. It was after midnight. It was very, very late. And we were just, standing around drinking a little bit, talking a little bit, like kids do. And we heard something. And it was like, it's hard to explain. It wasn't a growl, but it was just a very strange sound, something similar to a growl or a roar, maybe. And we heard this over a period of maybe 20 minutes or so, and it kept getting louder and stronger and bigger. And we finally said, "Let's get the hell out of here." And we got in the car and left, because it did freak us out toward the end, because it just got so loud, and it was closer or whatever. And I to this day I have no idea what that was. The guys that I was with to this day swear that it was the Goat Man. So they went back and told everybody, "Oh man, the Goat Man was coming at us and stuff." And I really have no idea whether or not that's what it was, or it was somebody messing with us, or what the situation was. But I don't believe a human being could make a sound like what we heard. And so that's basically my tale of the Goat Man that lives at the grain elevators in Plainview, Texas. So
that's creepy.
It is, and like I said, had I not been there and heard it, I would have thought, oh yeah, they're just blowing wind. But I did actually hear it, so and it was whatever it was coming closer to us. So we just finally decided it was time to leave, and we left.
I don't want to see any goat man ever.
And I did recently catch a program on television where they were talking about it in another town somewhere up north, up closer to where you live than where I live. That they had a goat man in that town that was going around, irritating people and causing problems and stuff. So I do know that that's probably like there's probably several places around the country where they have their own goat man. So.
All right. I wanted to just off the subject for a second before I forgot. Sorry to switch gears like this. I just each week I look at the like the weird news, and I've seen so many UFO sightings lately. Have you seen? It's unbelievable. Like one UFO.
Oh, yes.
Like one Wyoming, Indiana. One that came up from a lake, West Virginia. They're all over the place. California, Florida, they're all over the place. I was wondering if you heard anything about that at all.
No, I've not heard anything lately about an increase in UFOs, but I would like to ask you the big question. Have you ever seen anything?
I saw two things that I know I mentioned before, so I won't waste our urban legend time on the UFOs. But I guess for another future show that's called UFOs, stay tuned. That
kind of fits in with urban legends. It's kind of,
Yeah, it's like everybody knows somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah. So it's that is kind of an urban legend thing. So,
do you have a UFO story that you'd like to share?
If it wouldn't take up too much time, yes, I did see one up close, and it freaked me out. And we had just moved to Alabama from Texas, and we lived kind of catty corner across the street from the high school here in this town in Alabama. And it was way in the 1-2 o'clock in the morning, and I was out sitting on our front porch. It was in the middle of summer, and it was nice and warm, so I was sitting out on the front porch. And up over the high school, I saw this thing, and it was there. It was sitting. It was not moving. It was totally still. It was like hovering. It was about, from what I could tell, it was in a triangular shape. It was about as tall as a 2-story building because it was over the high school, so I had a pretty good measurement of how tall it was. It was about as tall as a 2-story building. It was in a triangular shape. And I sat there for a few minutes and watched it, trying to make sure that I was not sleeping or dreaming or having some sort of weird, hallucination. And it sat there, and there were lights that came on the inside of it. And when that happened, I got up and stepped inside the house. It was freaking me out a little bit, so I stepped inside the house and stood there for a few minutes. And I went back out. And when I went back out, it was gone. And a couple of days later, my wife and I were downtown, and we knew the police officer from this town. And I asked him, I said, I saw something a few nights ago over the high school. I said, was anything reported, or did anybody say anything about it or anything? And he looked at me and he said, you didn't see nothing. And he said, I didn't see nothing either.
Wow.
And he turned around and walked away.
Well, at least they didn't. At least they didn't do the old. It was a balloon.
Yeah,
it was the old triangular 2-story balloon.
Yeah, he basically let me know that he saw it, but just to keep my mouth shut about it, because people would think I was nutty or something if I talked about it. So.
Wow.
But that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it was within a block and a half of me. It was that close. I mean, so I got a really good look at it.
It's creepy. Maggie wrote, I think your the goat story. It sounds like the donkey lady of San Antonio. Didn't you live around there?
No, I was way north of San Antonio. I was up what they call the Great High Plains. It was like the lower part of the Panhandle in Texas. San Antonio was maybe 300-400 miles away from where I lived.
Wow, Texas is big.
Yeah, I wish Maggie could tell us a little more about the donkey lady. That sounds interesting.
Maggie, if you want to call up after a break and tell us about the donkey lady, go for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll give you the number, and you can call us in, because I'd like to know about the donkey lady of San Antonio.
And if anybody wants to call after our next break, which is in 5 minutes or so, the number is 919-295-0150. And, give us a call.
Gosh, time is going by fast.
We did an hour. I did an hour.
We're almost at an hour, yeah. And no guest. It's us talking.
Oh, my God. I hope it's enjoyable a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I'm going to try to fit in one more before some real good ones. I saved the creepy ones for the last hour.
Okay.
All right. This one's called the Motel Box Spring. This one usually starts out with a couple that is staying at a motel and begins smelling a foul odor. They go to the front desk to complain. While investigating the room, a motel employee finds a decomposing body either stuffed in the box spring or under the bed. True or false?
I have heard that. It had to do with a gangster. So I'm going to say that's probably true.
This is true multiple times. I even have dates and stuff. This event supposedly happened, and it's a true story, and it happened in Mineola, New York in 1988, and Virginia Econo Lodge in 1994, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, also in 1994, and in June of 99, in room 112 of the Burgundy Motor Inn in Atlantic City, New Jersey, if anybody wants to stay there. It also happened in there. And July 2003 in the Capri Motel in Kansas City, Missouri. The dead body under the bed or in the motel box spring mattress.
Yes. Are you familiar with that guy named Richard Kuklinski?
Is he a serial killer?
Well, he was a hitman for the mafia.
Yes, there was a movie I watched about a year ago about him.
Really? And he died recently in prison, but apparently he killed a guy in a motel and shoved him under the mattress like that, and it was several days before he was found. So,
actually, there's a story. I don't have it right in front of me. Did you read that? I think it just came out today. There's a story about this woman they found mummified in a car.
Yes, I did see that, and in fact, I posted it on my Facebook. That blew my mind. That was like,
maybe that's where I saw it. Yeah,
they said that the bank was paying all of her bills for her, automatic payment from the bank, and one of the neighbors was keeping her lawn mowed and her house fixed up, and over a period of time, they noticed that she wasn't around. They said she would take long trips and be gone for a few months at a time, so nobody really paid that much attention, and the bank eventually foreclosed on her house because she ran out of money in the bank. And they went to repair, the bank went, sent a guy to repair the roof on the house, and they found the woman dead in her car, and she'd been there for like 6 years. And the bank had been paying her bills all the time and taking care of everything. The utility bills were all paid and everything, so there wasn't any problem. But that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, because I might not believe that unless it happened.
Well, they said they found her in the back seat of her car in the garage, and the keys were in the ignition. So it makes you wonder what she was doing in the back seat of her car. I mean,
yeah.
But God, they said she was mummified and stuff, and they're doing like an autopsy to find out, how she died and so on. So it'll be interesting to follow that up.
Stay tuned for details on that one.
Absolutely.
How much time do we have? A couple minutes?
Yeah, a couple of minutes probably.
All right. Let's see.
But
how about I'll talk about upcoming shows. Next week, Joseph Johnson of Off the Grid Paranormal joins us, and he has some great stories to tell us. And on March 21st, Tanya, who's in the chat room, wave Tanya, she's going to be telling us all about the tarot cards and giving small readings for the chat room and callers.
Okay.
And that should be fun because I don't know too much about them.
That sounds interesting.
I'm not sure if I'm going on a break or not.
We're getting close, but you got a little bit. You got a few seconds if you need to say something.
All right. I don't know if he's kidding or not. Okay, he's back. All right, we're back. And
you want to just go ahead and go? You want to just go ahead and go to a break?
I'm not sure if he's ready yet. Yeah, we're ready. Yeah, let's go to a break.
Okay. This is the Haunted Chronicles with Jimmy Haunted and Terry Todd. We'll be back in just a moment, so stay tuned. And we are back with Haunted Chronicles. My beautiful co-host, Mr. Jimmy Haunted. I said that last week, and he got a giggle out of it. So we're back. We are back here tonight with our show on disambiguation, or as most people call it, urban legends. And we do. Jimmy said that we could have calls during the last hour. So if you would like to call in with your urban legend or talk to us a little bit about something we've already talked about, I would like to hear about that donkey lady in San Antonio. Our number here to reach us is 919-295-0150. That's area code 919-295-0150. So you guys get the switchboard lit up and let us hear from you.
Yeah, Maggie, call up. I know you're not shy.
None of our listeners are shy.
No. And I'm trying to post a picture in the chat room. I hope it comes up.
I bet it will.
It's our next subject. It's not working.
We're watching with bated breath.
Let me try again. Sorry, this isn't working right. I don't know. Who's coming up on your show next week, Ter?
This coming week on Voices Carry on Wednesday night right here on Paramania, we have an author, radio talk show host. She's a medium intuitive. She's a real sweet lady. Her name is S.J. Wells, and she's going to be our guest this coming Wednesday night on Voices Carry. She may do some readings over the air and going to talk to us a little bit. She's a very interesting, very sweet lady, and I know it's going to be a great show. So you guys be sure and tune in to Voices Carry on Wednesday night right here on the Paramania Radio Network. And we have some pretty good guests on both of these shows, both the Haunted Chronicles and Voices Carry. So just be sure and stay up with our guests, because this past week on Voices Carry, we had, of course, Ralph Sarchi and John Zaffis. John Zaffis is a frequent guest on Voices Carry, and he's a good friend and helps us out occasionally. And we just have some really great guests on both of these shows. It's amazing the guests that we're able to get for these two shows. It constantly blows my mind. So.
Can we pound on the board? There you go.
There we are.
All right. And thank you for covering for me for a few seconds. All right. This is a story we call the Hanging Munchkin.
Uh-huh.
And for some reason, this one creeps me out more than all of them. And I posted the picture in the chat room. Hope you could see it.
Yeah, I can see it fine.
During the Tin Woodsman sequence of The Wizard of Oz, you can see Dorothy, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow skipping merrily down the yellow brick road, singing "We're Off to See the Wizard."
Uh-huh.
When this seemed to be noticed, there's something in the background. If those of you aren't familiar with the story, as you look in the back, there's a bunch of trees. And actually, there weren't trees. It was a stage set. But there were props and scaffolding in the back. And the story is that people saw a hanging figure in the trees back there. And if you watch the original video, you could see it looks like a human figure swinging back and forth from a rope. And people noticed this when it came out on DVD and tapes, because they watched it over and over again. And the story is there's also a similar story like this with a 3 Man and a Baby ghost that we're going to get into in a second. And the disturbing little figure in the background, in the original film, it looks distinctly like a person hanging and swinging from a tree in the distance. And the story goes, a munchkin committed suicide because of a breakup. And another story is a stagehand got stuck in a tree or one of the scaffolding back there, and no one noticed at the time. If you go onto YouTube later, if you search, it'll be easy enough to find. There's two different versions. The original version that was shown from like 1939 or whatever on, you could see this hanging figure swinging back and forth. At some point, the film company or whoever edited that out, and they put a crane in there, like a bird flapping his wings. So you could see both versions on YouTube, and you make up your own, your own mind when seeing that. We don't know why it was altered. It kind of gives you a question in your head, like, why did they change it? Because a lot of people are saying it's a bird now, and there's probably a few people alive that know the true answer, but you have to make up your own mind on that.
I'm sure that's not true. I would bet money that is not true.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it really does look like a figure. Like, I'm thinking it could be a stage hand that got caught in a prop or something.
Yeah, but, something like that. I'm sure there's a good answer for it, but I would bet money, like I said, that is absolutely not true.
Yeah. And we'll never, like I said, research it on your own later on YouTube. It's fun to find all the different people's opinions, because you go back and forth, with your ideas. I think we have a caller.
We certainly do. Maggie is on the line, yeah.
When you want to put Maggie through, Dave, we're good.
Are you there, Maggie?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. How are you?
We're great.
Hey,
Maggie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey there.
All right, now, the donkey lady, I did not live in San Antonio, so just bear with me as I try to recall,
Okay.
Because I know that my husband used to go out. I guess they would go to a bridge, and I guess the story is her husband set the house on fire. 2 of her children died, and then she was so badly burnt that her hands and things turned into, like, the donkey hoofs. So they would go out to a bridge outside of town, and he told me, like, if you would drive on the bridge and then turn your lights off and honk your horn, I think it was like 3 times or something, that would, like, call her. And then if you turned your headlights on, she would jump on the top of the hood of your car and then run back into the woods again, because they said she was insane, and she would just roam the woods. So, it's kind of like yours, Terry, a little bit, but there's just, it could be the urban legend that this part of Texas says it's this way, and this part of Texas says it's the goat man. So
yeah, do you know anybody that claims to have actually witnessed this, or is it just a story at this point?
My husband said that him and his friends like you, they would, everybody always went out there, and he did say that they did that, and he did, they heard something or they saw something. I don't think it jumped on their hood, but they said that they got a glimpse of something when they turned on their headlights. So
wow, yeah. I firmly believe that there's a whole lot of crap out there that we don't know about, that is like in the shadows and hiding off to the side and stuff. So, in my mind, just about anything is possible.
Anything, because we have the donkey story here of the Grudgenville Bridge. I sent it to Jimmy earlier on the Facebook, and we have a guy that lived in a town called Girard, and he started circuses or something. It was a Jerry Rice, and it said that he was taking his circus across a bridge. And the donkey, I don't know, he had a heart attack or something. Something spooked him. And now when you go out, now somebody has burnt that bridge down, but when you go out to that bridge, you could hear the donkey, you could see its eyes inside the bridge. So, there's a lot of similarities, but a lot of, but I know we used to go out there, and it's kind of like you guys, let's just get out of here, it's too spooky. You know? But,
well, one thing about it, down near San Antonio and stuff, there's quite a few trees and things in that area. Where I'm from up there, I mean, we're talking complete flat land with no trees, and the only thing above ground are grain elevators and oil wells, and so in order to have something spooky like that, you have to have some sort of, something for it to hide in, and in my case, it was just a grain elevator, but that's really interesting and cool about the donkey lady down in San Antonio.
Yeah, because she got burnt so bad, she turned into the donkey lady, basically, and then she's insane, so that she just runs the whole, gamut out there. And
yeah, and Jimmy may have a story about this. I'm not sure what all he's got, but there's also a story in Texas about the the train track, where if you park your car on a train track and like put it in neutral or whatever, that there was a busload of kids that was killed on this train track at one time. And if you leave your car sitting there in neutral, that your car will be pushed off the tracks and off to the other side. And then when you get on the back, there'll be little kids' handprints on the back of your car.
Yeah, because my husband Russell told me about that too. Yeah, you go out to that train track, yeah, and there'd be all those little handprints on pushing your car.
And that's somewhere in Texas. I'm not sure where, but
it's got to be somewhere down around there for him to know that, because I can't say for sure if he ever did that, but I know he was the one that told me that the busload of kids went over that embankment or whatever. And
yeah, and I've had relatives that actually like put baby powder on the back of their car beforehand and had their car pushed, and sure enough, they took pictures of little handprints on the car.
Yeah, because that's what he said. People would put baby powder on their car on the back, and then they could see the little handprints. So,
yeah.
I'm thinking that could possibly be, because it's the same story, and you live there and I live here, and we both are,
Oh yeah. And
so that's kind of we have a hill here that it's just an optical illusion. And if you put your car in neutral, it looks like you're going uphill. Nobody's pushing you or anything, but it's just it's called Gravity Hill, and it does. You go a long way, but it looks like you're going up the hill, and it's pretty freaky for being an optical illusion, because you get disoriented.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And so you're trying to drive your car, and you're so. All right, guys. Well, I'll let you go so you can get back to the show.
Well, thank you so much for calling. We do appreciate it very, very much.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks,
I love
Maggie.
you guys' show.
We love you, too.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling.
All right. I will. I'll talk to you guys later. You have a good night.
You bet. You too.
Bye,
okay. Bye, guys. Bye.
Hey, Terry.
That was nice. Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to half the chat room. Was we used to have a AOL chat room called Haunted House. And half of the people in the chat room are from there, and I want to thank all the Haunted House people from coming in here. This was back
absolutely.
10 years ago, and they're still with us. Back when AOL
so cool.
actually had people in there.
Yeah, that is so cool. Everybody that listens, we thank you so much for it, and we just, we love you guys, and we're so appreciative of your support and your being here to listen to us each week.
And let's see, where were we with the hanging munchkin?
Did you see Dr. Dave?
Yeah. I'm one of them. Since we talked about the Wizard of Oz, this kind of connects with the next story, which is the 3 Men and a Baby Ghost. And I'm going to put that in the chat room also.
Well, if I can throw this in there real quick while you're doing that.
Please do.
Do you know, do you remember the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
The one that's when she's dying, she's going, what a world, what a world. And anyway, but do you remember the big black hat that she wore?
Yeah.
That hat that she wore, just the hat, recently sold at auction for like $38,000.
I would pay triple if I had it.
Yeah, some lady had owned it for like 25 years, and a guy talked her into putting it in an auction, and she sold it, and it brought $38,000.
Wow.
Okay, the picture's there. Tell us what we're looking at.
All right. This picture right here is this movie came out in 1987, I believe. And there's a scene in this movie's called 3 Men and a Baby. And there's a scene where Ted Danson and his movie mother are in a room, and the mother is holding the baby that they're taking care of. And in back of the curtains, you could see the figure of what looks like a boy. And like I said, this is another one that was only noticed when it came out on VHS, because people watched it over and over again, and you notice you notice mistakes in films and stuff. Yeah. And the most popular story.
You want to know what I heard about that, or do you want to tell the most popular story?
I'll tell what I got, and then you could add it. The most popular story is that a 9-year-old boy committed suicide in the house the movie was filmed in years earlier. And then another side says it was filmed on a soundstage, and not an actual house. And the studio conveniently came across a photo that they claim was a cardboard standee of Ted Danson that was mistakenly left behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also, if you want to add something, go ahead, and you can do it now.
That's what I was going to say. The story that I heard about it was that it was a cardboard cutout of Ted Danson that had gotten left behind, and nobody noticed it there. So,
and the funny part of this story is, this does seem like it's not photoshopped. It's actually in the movie the whole time, and but the odd thing about this story is this just actually, you know how we see ghosts like usually kind of wispy or you kind of see a little transparent. This is so solid that I can't see it being a cardboard stand, but behind the curtain, it doesn't look like Ted Danson. The studios conveniently came out with a picture of the cardboard stand-up all of a sudden next to Ted Danson, showing that this is what it really was. When I used to do my ghost shows, like my presentations, I used this picture as one of my slides, and I got all my slides developed at the same place. And this guy was always curious to what I was giving him each week, and he came across that picture. He goes, "Why do you have this one?" I told him a story, and he said he is personal friends with the people that lived in this house. Like it's one of those friend of a friend stories. But he claims he actually knows the people that were associated with this. Like I said, it's all up to who you believe, but it's another urban legend.
Absolutely, and there are a bunch of them.
And it's up to you guys. And actually, the mystery with this 3 Minute a Baby ghost propelled 3 Minute a Baby to break new records for video rentals, just for people trying to see the ghost in the back there.
That doesn't surprise me a bit. It really doesn't. We would like to remind anyone that would like to call in with your urban legend, your regional urban legend where you live or whatever you got going on. Go ahead and give us a call. The number is 919-295-0150. Write that number down. It's 919-295-0150. Give us a call and tell us about your urban legend.
And I do have a lot of friends in the chat that are local, and they're giving me a lot of suggestions for local ones, but I'm trying to do ones that might be more well-known. Maybe we could do another show on them too. I don't know. Or if anybody wants to call in with the local ones, that's cool too.
And we've just been joined by Miss Amy. So howdy, Miss Amy. We're glad you're with us. Bill Hall just came in. Got new people coming.
All right. And let's see. I got some good ones. I'm gonna go to the Bride and Seek. Have you heard of this one?
No, not that I'm aware of.
All right, this is one of the versions. I'm going to read this one. A young woman was about to get married, and she decided she wanted to hold the wedding in the backyard of the large farmhouse where she grew up. It was a beautiful wedding, and everything went perfectly. Afterwards, the guests played some casual party games, and someone suggested hide and seek so they could get the children to play too. It wouldn't be hard to find a place to hide around the house. The groom was it, and the bride wanted to make sure that she won the game. When no one was looking, she slipped inside the house. She ran up to the attic, found an old trunk, and hid in it. No one could find her. Her new husband wasn't worried, though. He figured she must have gotten tired and went out inside to rest. So everyone went home. The groom looked around the house, but he couldn't find her anywhere. Her and her parents filed a missing persons case, but she was never found. A few years later, when her mother died, the woman's father went to go through his late wife's things that were collecting dust in the attic. He came to the old chest, the lid was closed, and the old lock was rusted over and holding it closed. He opened the lid and was terrified to see his daughter's decaying body in the chest. When she hid there, the lid had closed and the rusty parts of the lock had latched together, trapping her there forever.
Okay, that's one of those things again that is just strange enough that it could possibly be true.
That everything I looked up shows there's no proof to that, but it's a cool story.
It is indeed. Believe it or not, Jimmy, it's time for another break. We are just going by so quickly here. This 2 hours is just flying by. So, if Dr. Dave is ready, we'll go ahead and go to break. You are listening to the Haunted Chronicles. This is Jimmy Haunted, this is Terry Todd, along with Jimmy Haunted, and we're so happy you're with us tonight. We're discussing urban legends or disambiguation, whichever you prefer, and we will be back in just a moment. So stay tuned right here. And we are back with the Haunted Chronicles for our last half hour right here on the Paramania Radio Network. This is your last chance to call in and tell us your urban legend. The number to call in is 919-295-0150. And that's the last time I'm going to say that number for tonight. How we doing, Jimmy?
We're hanging in there. 3 cups of coffee. I'm still going.
Cool.
It's a world record.
That's great. We've got half hour to go. So, got some interesting things in the chat room. What do we have as far as urban legends left?
I don't know. Do you want to mention anything in the chat room at all? I was missing out.
No, it would be a long, drawn-out thing, so, and it would change our subject. And tonight we're trying to focus in on urban legends. So,
yeah. The next urban legend I'd like to I got 3 more good ones. Hopefully I'll fit them in. All right.
Okay.
This story is called The Killer Clown or the Clown Statue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is about some girl in her teens, like most of these stories, is babysitting for a family in Newport Beach, California. Very detailed. Mm-hmm. And the family is wealthy and has a very large house, has a ridiculous amount of rooms. Anyway, the parents are going out for a late dinner and a movie, and the father tells the babysitter that once the children are in bed, she should go into this specific room because he doesn't want her wandering around the house all willy-nilly and watch TV there. The parents take off, and soon she gets the kids into bed and goes to the room to watch TV. She tries watching TV, but she is disturbed by a clown statue in the corner of the room. Mm-hmm. She tries to ignore it for as long as possible, but it starts freaking her out so much that she can't handle it. Mm-hmm. She resorts to calling the father and asks, "Hey, the kids are in bed, but is it okay if I switch rooms? The clown statue is really creeping me out." And of course, the father says, "Get the kids out, go next door, and call 911. And she asks, "What's going on?" He responds, "Just go next door, and once you call the police, call me back." So she gets the kids, goes next door, calls the police. When the police are on their way, she calls the father back and says, "So really, what's going on?" He responds, "We don't have a clown statue." He then further explains that the children have been complaining about a clown watching them as they sleep, and he and his wife had just blown it off, assuming they're having nightmares. The police arrive and apprehend the clown, who turns out to be a midget clown. And they said, I guess he was a homeless person dressed as a clown who somehow got into the house and had been living there for several weeks. He would come into the kids. And it's funny because this is supposedly one of the possibly true ones.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I like when you laugh like that. He would come into the kids' rooms at night and watch them while they slept. As the house was so large, he was able to avoid detection, surviving off their food, etc. He had also been in the TV room right before the babysitter came in, and when she entered, he didn't have enough time to hide, so he just froze in place and pretended to be a statue. Like I know this one's probably embellished, whatever, but I did research other stories, and there's many stories of people hiding out in people's houses and living there, eating their food. And one guy from it was China or Japan, he actually videotaped. I put video camera in his home because he noticed that things were moved around and food was missing, and he had a homeless person was living in his attic and was coming out every day getting food. So this might be based on true story and made up a little bit.
I just keep picturing a midget dressed as a clown wandering around someone's house.
And people are gonna have nightmares of midget clowns now. And somebody wrote that Amy said Jimmy said willy nilly. That might have been the first time on Paramania Radio that those words were uttered. Willy nilly. All right, I think Terry got booted out for a second. Am I still on? Can anyone hear me? All right, I'm on air. All right. I'm going to go on to the next one, which I shall call the Bunny Man. The Bunny Man is an urban legend that probably originated from two incidents in Fairfax County, Virginia in 1970, but has been spread throughout the Washington, D.C. area. There are many variations to the legend, but most involve a man wearing a rabbit costume or a bunny suit who attacks people with an axe. Many variations occur around Colchester Overpass. It's a Southern Railway overpass spanning Colchester Road near Clifton. Colchester Overpass is commonly referred to as Bunny Man Bridge. Hey, Terry, we're just talking about the Bunny Man.
Okay, I got dropped for a minute, but I'm packed now.
All right.
My wife is in the other room laughing hysterically. I told her about the clown, the midget clown.
Well, we went from the midget clown to the Bunny Man. The story variations include the origin of the Bunny Man. Anyways, a lot of these stories change here and there. But in some accounts, the Bunny Man's ghost or aging specter is said to come out of his place of death each year on Halloween to commemorate his death. In some accounts, victims' bodies are mutilated. The legend. The legend has circulated for years in several forms. A version naming a suspect in a specific location was posted to a website in the late 1990s. This version states that in 1904, an asylum prison in Clifton, Virginia was shut down by successful petition of the growing population of residents. During the transfer of inmates to a new facility, the transport carrying the inmates crashes and some prisoners escaped or are found dead. A search party finds all but one of them. During this time, locals allegedly began to find hundreds of cleanly skinned, half-eaten carcasses of rabbits hanging from the trees in the surrounding areas. Another search of the area was ordered, and the police located the remains of Marcus Walster, left in a similar fashion to a rabbit carcass hanging in a nearby tree or under the bridge overpass, known locally as Bunny Man Bridge, and that this is along the railroad tracks of Colchester Road. Officials named the last missing inmate, Douglas Griffin, as their suspect and call him the Bunny Man. In this version, the officials managed to locate him, but during their attempt to apprehend him, he nearly escapes before being hit by an oncoming train where the original transport crashed. They say after the train passed, the police said that they heard laughter coming from the site. It is eventually revealed that Griffin was institutionalized for killing his family and children on Easter Sunday. This sounds like a great movie idea. For years after the Bunny Man's death, in the time approaching Halloween, carcasses are said to be found hanging around the overpass and surrounding areas. A figure is reportedly seen by passersby making their way through the one-lane bridge tunnel. Conley says this version is false. It's like so long ago, the details were kind of lost. But that's called the Bunny Man and Bunny Man Bridge.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Do you know when my call got dropped, I was in the middle of saying something to you, and I'd like to get your opinion on it, but and I'm going to be going back to clowns for just a moment. Did you notice that about maybe a decade or so ago that it was the cool thing that everybody started hating clowns?
Yeah, when did that start?
And And then it was about 10 years ago, and it started with a few people on TV saying, "Ooh, I hate clowns," and then it kind of grew from there. And now just everybody you run into is like, "Oh, I hate clowns. They scare me," and all that. And I just find that amazing how, when we were kids, clowns were cool, and it was something that it was a fun, cute little thing that you dealt with and stuff or whatever. But it was about 10 or 12 years ago that it suddenly became cool to hate clowns, and it's really grown by leaps and bounds since then. And I just find that so interesting how we got to that point.
Well, you could trace it back to Poltergeist when they had that creepy clown in the kids' room, and Stephen King's It. It
probably did more for, but I think It even came out after it was kind of the cool thing to do to hate clowns.
Yeah,
I think Stephen King may have played into that a little bit, but
I don't know. Did you like them when you saw them as a kid at a circus or something?
I loved them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never had a problem with clowns ever. I thought they were cool. Some kids that couldn't grow up, get a job to do anything else, would aspire to be clowns. It was just one of those things that it was just one of those things that kind of a happy childhood thing. The clown made you laugh and he did silly little things and all that. But it was about 10 or 12 years ago that it became the cool thing to hate clowns. It's really grown by leaps and bounds since then. And I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to see what you thought about it. I'm still thinking about the midget clown. I'm sorry.
No, there's a real funny line in the chat room I'm trying to get, but it keeps scrolling. About midget. I don't know. Oh, damn! I missed it. Midget. Oh, the midget clowns hang out and party on Bunny Bridge. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And somebody even mentioned that John Wayne Gacy, dressed up as a clown for children or whatever. And I don't know. Right. It just, it's one of those anthropological type things that you wonder about. Where did it come from? How did it get started, and so on. But back when we were kids, nobody had a problem with clowns. And it's just kind of interesting to me. And
there's another.
I'm sorry.
No, there's another show idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've only got about 13 or 14 minutes left, and there's so many that we haven't got a chance to hit on yet. Things like the Mothman and the Jersey Devil and stuff like that. But
I got a good one to end it with, and like I said, we have a bunch more. We could do this another time too.
Okay, that's great. Let's go ahead and shoot for it and get as many in as we can before the end of the show.
All right. And this is my personal favorite. And we did a Facebook poll about this. Many of you that are listening were involved with it. I asked if anybody actually did Bloody Mary, and I'll tell the whole story. But I asked if anybody ever did the Bloody Mary experiment in the mirror, and we got 55 responses. And out of the 56, whatever, we got 42 people actually tried doing Bloody Mary in the mirror, and I'm one of them. When I was a kid, I won't do it now because I don't want to see anything in the mirror. I don't need to see anything.
Did you see something?
What was that?
Did you see something when you did it?
No, but I'm afraid I will now.
But you didn't see anything when you did it when you were young?
I don't think so. I don't think no. According to legend, you have to stand in a bathroom with one candle lit and say the name Bloody Mary into the mirror 3 times in a row. It is only the bravest of children who would attempt to do this, but because the story says that this will summon her ghost. If you see her ghostly face in the mirror, you have one of the following terrible consequences will happen. Your eyes will be ripped out of your face, horribly scarred. You could be found dead with claw marks all over your face and body, disappearing mysteriously from the bathroom and ending up trapped in the mirror with the ghost for eternity. You could also be driven insane or drop dead on the spot.
Wow.
I posted a Bloody Mary. That's what she looks like, if you could see it in the chat room. I believe I posted it. Did I? Yeah.
Yes.
The history of this chanting game is based on mixed-up legends and history that, over the years, have become the main basis for the story surrounding this urban legend. The most common story told is that Mary Worth was a witch that lived over 100 years ago who dabbled in the black arts. She was found out and executed. The other story is more modern. A local woman was involved in a fatal car accident, and her face was horribly scarred before she died. She reappears in the mirror when summoned with that same horrific face. It is largely believed that the origins of the names Mary Worth and Bloody Mary came from a slight mix-up of characters from history. Mary the First, Queen of England, or Mary Tudor, who reigned during the Tudor period, were also commonly known as Bloody Mary.
Wow.
Her nickname of Bloody Mary became attached to her when she violently executed and burnt people at the stake for heresy during her 5-year reign as Queen of England. She also was unable to have children and suffered 2 phantom pregnancies. That is why it is speculated that the variation involving chanting "I stole your baby" becomes tangled up with this legend. I never heard that one. There's another suggestion that the name Mary Worth was derived from the victim of the Salem witch trials. Another possible origin is the legend of Elizabeth Bathory, or Countess Dracula, as she has been called. She was a Hungarian royal who is rumored to have killed young girls and bathed in their blood. This supposedly is true, this part, to preserve her youthful beauty. Of course, her name was not Mary, but somehow the stories of this cruel woman have been inserted into the legend.
Well, if they called her Bloody Martha, it just wouldn't be the same.
All right, I want everyone to go into the mirror and say Bloody Martha 3 times. And come back and let me know what happened. So how do you play Bloody Mary? What you need is a candle, a strong heart, and a big bathroom with a large mirror. Turn out the lights, place your candle down, and light it. Stand and look in the mirror.
You also need a very vivid imagination.
Right. And a diaper. Chant slowly, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, and see what happens. If nothing happens, try spinning around 3 times and then looking in the mirror, and you may just catch a glimpse of her terrifying face. Try out if you dare, but don't blame me if you find yourself trapped in the ghostly netherworld with the ghost of Bloody Mary forever.
Oh, my goodness.
Very scary.
You read that in a very most appropriate scary fashion.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, my gosh. I am enjoying the heck out of this show. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, this is fun. We got a few minutes left. I'm trying to find another.
Okay. Yeah, we got about 5 minutes, so
I came pretty close. I tried to time it for 2 hours, and I came pretty close. Oh, our poll. Let me see if I can go back to our poll.
Okay.
I asked people if they ever tried the Bloody Mary experiment, and
now your poll is when we ask a person from Poland their opinion, right?
Right. A nice Polish person.
Okay.
And these are some of the answers I got for people that actually tried the experiment.
Uh-huh.
Lorraine says, "I don't even know what the Bloody Mary game is. Not sure I want to. Do I, Jimmy?" Doreen says, when she was around 12 years old at a Girl Scout meeting in a church bathroom, we scared the out of each other that night. It was an old bathroom. They said Bloody Mary 3 times. The lights flickered. We screamed and ran. Now I tell her, if you stayed, maybe you would have saw something, but they ran out.
Yeah.
There's another story. Somebody said you have to say it 13 times for her to show up. And then Tom says, "I remember my younger sister and I scaring the crap out of my youngest sister doing the Bloody Mary routine. And we said it 3 times and nothing happened, and then said, 'Oh my God, what's that coming out of the mirror?' And she ran out of the room." Real nice, Tom. That's a cool older brother right there.
Yeah. Frankie just made a good point talking about Bloody Mary and stuff. That mirrors can be portals, to the other side and stuff. So I know a lot of people, mess around and play around with this thing with the Bloody Mary and stuff, but you could actually do something, end up doing some contact to the other side or something that you might not be willing to deal with. So you might want to be real careful doing that.
Actually, I have a quick story for you.
Okay.
Another show on Paramania is called Understanding Spirit with Alan Cox, and that was on his show Thursday for a grueling 2 hours of. He was asking me. I told him stories that I never told anybody, some new ones, and if anybody wants to go back and listen to that. But one of my stories was when I was a teenager, I got a scrying mirror at one of these witch stores because, like I said, I couldn't get enough of supernatural. I wanted to try everything. And you know how a scrying mirror is just a black flat mirror?
Uh-huh.
And it's just something you like supposedly put on a table and then look into it. And I thought it was like a crystal ball, just like a kind of a prop. And I read the directions and it says, just look into the black mirror and concentrate, and you're supposedly supposed to see things. And I looked into the mirror, and it started rippling like I said, when a wind's going over a pond or a lake, like just it was rippling. It was very dramatic. It wasn't, it was very obvious. And I just pushed it aside because I didn't want to see what was going to happen because I didn't really believe it. But it was pretty interesting anyway. But I believe in the mirror thing.
Yeah. That actually looking into a mirror trying to ascertain something is called scrying. David just mentioned that in the chat room, that's not a good idea for people to do. So, and we are running out of time pretty quickly. So did we have one more quick one we wanted to squeeze in, or?
I could do let's see. Let's see what this one. Let's see. This one may be. This is a 2-minute one right here.
Okay.
All right. This one's called The Choking Doberman. My cousin and his wife lived in Sydney with this huge Doberman in a little apartment off something road. One night they went out for dinner in a spot of clubbing. By the time they got home, it was late and my cousin was more than a little drunk. They got in the door and were greeted by the dog choking to death in the lounge room. My cousin just fainted, but his wife rang the veterinarian, who was an old family friend of hers, and they got her to agree to meet her at the surgery. The wife drives over and drops off the dog, but decides that she better go home and get her hubby off into bed. She gets home and finally slaps my cousin into consciousness, but he's still too drunk. It takes her almost half an hour to get him upstairs, and then the phone rings. She's tempted to just leave it, but she decides that it must be important or it wouldn't be ringing that late at night. As soon as she picks up the phone, she hears the vet's voice scream out, "Thank God I got you in time. Leave the house now. There's no time to explain." Then the vet hangs up. So they get out of the house. By the time they made it out of the house, the police are outside. They rush up the front stairs, past the couple, and they don't have a clue what's going on here. The vet shows up and says, "Have they got him? Have they got him?" "Have they got who?" the wife said. "Well, I just found out what the dog was choking on. It was a human finger." Just then, the police drag out a dirty, stubbly man who is bleeding profusely from one hand. "Hey, Sarge," one of them yells, "we found him in the bedroom."
Wow, that's amazing. We are plumb out of time, Jimmy, so we're going to have to run, and we'll catch us up on another show. But it's been great, this show has. We thank all the audience for being here. This is Terry Todd. Jimmy will say good night. Good night. We love you. See you next week. And take it away, Jimmy.
Good night, fellas. See you next week.